Quetzal Guerrero, and you're watching Música LA.
Welcome to Música LA. I'm your host, Rocio Libertad Mendoza, and we are here at the Taste of South Lake in Pasadena, California, where we caught up with our musical guest today. He's an extraordinary musician, a very talented and accomplished violinist, guitar player, singer-songwriter, and capoeirista. Qviolin, aka Quetzal Guerrero. Quetzal, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Música LA.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. So you grew up in Arizona and you've been playing the violin since you were 4 years old?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. My mother is a classically trained pianist from the age of 5. So she felt it very important to educate myself and my brother and sister all in music at a very young age. So I was watching Sesame Street when I was about 3 or 4, and I saw a group of kids playing violin. And I saw Itzhak Perlman playing violin, who was a very, very well-known classical violinist. So I was immediately drawn to it, and I told my mom, I go, that's what I want to play. So she immediately got me into lessons, and I had a private tutor all throughout elementary school and junior high school, and I then went on to play a lot in youth symphonies, orchestras and quartets, things like that. So I have many, many years of classical education as my foundation in my musical development.
Wow, no wonder. So you come from a really strong musical background. Your family
Definitely
really supported you. Now, I understand that you studied in Japan?
Yes, my father, who's a very well-known Chicano artist, muralist, sculptor, and mask maker.
What's his name?
His name is Sarko Guerrero. He's published. He's also been in many, many art what would I say, like art gallery openings and museums, and he's an extraordinary artist as well as a musician and singer. He won the National Endowment of the Arts grant to live and work in Japan and study under a master mask maker of the Japanese lineage when I was very young. So we went to Japan and lived in Japan for a year, and it was there that I went to Matsumoto, Japan, and studied at the Suzuki Institute.
The International Academy of the Suzuki Method. What is the Suzuki Method?
The Suzuki Method is a method of teaching music in which you learn by ear before you learn how to read. So it's a method very similar to the mother tongue. As a child, you learn how to speak and understand the language before you learn how to read and write it. So that's essentially the same format that they use to teach the Suzuki Method, and that way they can teach children at a very, very young age, as opposed to later on in life when they have to learn how to read music. You can actually learn to play by ear before you learn how to actually read the music. As early as a toddler, they can learn. So when I went to Japan, I was actually the oldest kid in my class.
Oh really? How old were you?
I was 4 at the time. which, you know, to
Wow.
some people think it's ridiculous that I was so young. But when I was in Japan, I was actually the oldest kid in my classes. There was kids in diapers
Goodness.
taking classes and learning how to play the violin. So it's a what you would call it? It's a form of learning where, again, you can learn at a very, very young age because you're learning by ear and you're learning how to copy the sounds instinctually, as opposed to the way we learn in school, which we're learning how to read and write the music and play at the same time, which is a lot more difficult.
Seems a lot more natural. So I know that you also studied in Brazil. Yeah, what was that like for you?
I studied in Brazil at the Conservatorio de Pernambuco, which is also part of the Suzuki Institute. The Suzuki Method is established all throughout the world, and they teach and they educate kids in their form of learning. So my mother is from Recife, Brazil, which is in northern Brazil, from the state of Pernambuco. So I've been to Brazil many, many times, and going there, we would go to this institute and study there as well with other kids that are also my age that played in violin and other string instruments that were at my level. So it's a very, very amazing institution and way of learning, because you can travel the world and study and meet other kids like you.
And how old were you at this time?
I was probably about 8 or 9.
Okay. So you also do capoeira. Were you inspired to do capoeira by living in Brazil?
Yes, you know, I had seen capoeira at a young age, and I'd seen some movies, and I was really inspired by capoeira. But living in Arizona, there was no capoeira, and there wasn't any opportunities for me to learn. But when I had just graduated high school, there was a fellow who had moved to Arizona and who had started teaching, established an academy there.
Okay.
And myself and my brother started going there and started learning, and I saw it as an opportunity not only to be physical and to be able to express myself and learn an art form, it was also something that represented who I am and my culture, you know, and it gave me the opportunity to learn more about the history of my Brazilian heritage, as well as the language and, you know, just the whole art form that capoeira is.
It's a beautiful form of martial arts. And can you explain to our viewers exactly what is
If you've never seen capoeira before, it's a form of martial arts that incorporates ritual, dance, oral history, song, and strategy. It's more of a game as opposed to, I would say.
So are you actually fighting? Are you actually having combat, or is it more of a dance?
It really depends on the situation. I think capoeira is a very, very multifaceted art form, in the sense that it reflects a culture and a community. So there's places for all peoples. Men and women can both participate in it. All age groups can participate in it, and it really is established more as a game and a ritual, but it can become a fight. It can become a form of martial art. It all depends on the situation, and a lot of people practice different forms of capoeira, different styles of capoeira, and you really can't explain it. You really have to experience it to really know what capoeira is about.
So how does playing the violin and doing capoeira, how do they complement each other?
Capoeira really taught me how to push myself and put myself into difficult positions and grow, you know, as far as character. It really helped me with my character, with my discipline. And if anybody who's known about capoeira or tried it, it's very difficult martial art. It's very difficult to learn. So many aspects to it, much like the violin. It's one of the most difficult instruments to play. You have to practice a lot. You have to put in a lot of work and effort. And I think that forces you to really push yourself and develop the character to know not to stop when things are difficult, but to keep pushing forward and to always be ready for a challenge. That's definitely something that capoeira instilled in me and helped me to develop with my violin music and with my music, period.
So important for an artist, the discipline part of it.
Yes, definitely.
Do you have a favorite genre of music that you feel the most passionate about?
Favorite genre? Not so much. I think there's so many genres that I love, and it's more, for me, it's more about artists and composers and songwriters. I think that in every genre of music, there's that golden child that was able to transcend that style, transcend their culture, transcend that rhythm, and to reach people on all levels of society.
Who would that be for you?
For me, this artist like Mozart like Beethoven, Bach, more recently Tito Puente, Bob Marley, Stevie Wonder, James Brown, Jimi Hendrix. There's just so many artists that I'm always revisiting and discovering and learning more about and taking that inspiration and trying to incorporate it into who I am and what I do.
So they always come back. They're always a part of your musical journey.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I know that you released an album in 2011 with, is it Yoruba Records?
No, I was signed with Yoruba Records a few years back. I released my first album with them in 2009. It was called Now. The album is called Now. The last album that I released independently by myself is called Coisa Boa.
Ay, qué cosa boa, la 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 la. Ay, qué cosa boa, la 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 la. Ay, qué cosa boa, la 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 la. What a good thing, such a good thing, la 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 la. Ay, qué cosa boa, la la.
So, I mean, you've studied abroad internationally, and obviously you come from a very musical family. Your sound is very unique. How would you describe your sound?
I would say my sound is very eclectic. It comes from a lot of different influences, and I think it really reflects who I am as a person and my own musical education, starting from a classical background to Caribbean and Brazilian and American influences. There's so many different styles of music that I subscribe to and that I really enjoy listening to and learning how to play from different songwriters and artists. So all those different styles of music are something that influence me. So for me, it's really about how I can present it in a way that's going to reach out and grab people, connect with people. So I like to explore all the different styles, from reggae to rock to cumbia to samba. All those kind of Latin rhythms and world music rhythms are something that I really like to explore and to showcase with something different, like the violin.
So I know that you're working on a new album. What can we expect to hear in this new album, and when is it going to be released?
My new album is scheduled to be released this winter, probably close to the new year, probably in January sometime. And the album is called American Import. I definitely delve much more into my Native American and American roots as far as exploring music. There's a lot more rock, blues, and folk undertones in this new album as opposed to a lot of the Brazilian and Caribbean influences on my last album. So this,
Do you think we could hear a little taste of it?
A little taste of it. Let me see. Yeah, I could probably play something for you. Let me grab
Native
my bow.
American, and that just sounds incredible.
Gotta make sure I'm tuned. Alright. So here's a song from the new album. There'll come a day when I can say I want you. There'll come a time when I will find nothing new. All of the endless nights of saying I love you will start to shrivel and decay to the blue. Now you're inside of my soul. Past all my days of old, you will remain every part of me. And if you will allow the same to come about, we can live for all eternity. Our love will live for all eternity.
Bravo.
Just a little taste.
Bravo. Thank you for that.
Gracias.
Yeah, so the blue violin, it seems to be your trademark. How did that come about?
The blue violin is something that I've tried to trademark as something people can remember. You know, it's distinct. It's not something that you see every day. I saw actually a violinist many years ago when I was very young had an electric blue violin, and I was like automatically awestruck by it. It's like, man, I gotta get one of those. I need that. I want one of those. And so myself and my parents, we looked into it. We found this company that produces these violins, and we got it custom made. And I have many other violins. I have about 4 or 5 other violins, but I feel like this one is the one that that people react to the most. They really, it really catches the eye. You know what I mean? So this is still the violin that I use today, and I've had it since I was about 14. So.
Wow. Quetzal Guerrero, thank you so much for being
Gracias.
here.
Thank you.
Placer.
Placer. Gracias.
You're watching Música LA, and I'm your host, Rocío Libertad Mendoza.